Let's, of course, tell you that the Arewa Consultative Forum has announced its support for Northerners running for the presidency and other offices interested in the 2027 election in order to save the region and the country in general. Now, the forum, at its National Executive Council meeting in Kaduna State, voiced concern over the deplorable economic condition in the north under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Now, they also, of course, blame poor socio-economic policies of the federal government for the region's deplorable state, and, of course, hoping that things get better. Now, joining me on the program this evening to discuss this is Oladotun Hassan, is the president of the Yoruba Council Worldwide. He joins me physically in the studio. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
I mean, it's always great to have you on this discussions. But let me start, even though there are developing stories, updates to that. We understand that the leadership or the leader of the group has been isolated in terms of that opinion, saying that it's not, a blanket opinion on that matter. But what do you make of statements or positions, opinions like this?
Well, we have to look at the fact that how are we wired as citizens in this country? Are we wired as Northerners or are we wired as Southerners? Because we are more ethnicized than our national interest, and that has really been the horse trading between the South and the North, and it's more like when are we going to start gelling together as citizens? And the recent happenings and after the coming on board of the present administration, without much ado, the various successive governments before now, especially that of the Buhari-led government, which the Northerners spent 8 years, it would be very unimaginable and not yet for them to have even consider a Northerner coming on board. But because of the interest of power, the quest for power, the North seems anything less than power as a fish outside of the water. And we've witnessed a whole lot of issues in the recent times. And it goes to say that are we truly one Nigeria? When we are discussing issue of national interest, how do we get to the level of this power trade to see more of how to bring down a government at the expense of them coming on board? And it has always been the ethnic issue. The 2023 election is more wired on ethnic line rather than national scale and interest. And that's why Yoruba Council Worldwide is thrown back to reason deeply that when and how do the northern people believe that they are born to rule. We need to begin to.
But in this context, sorry, yes, is it a situation of believing that they are born to rule, or is there substance to the concerns they raised, part of which is the current economic situation in the country? If you look at inflation, for instance, it's edging to 40%. I mean, let's even go to the streets and do a bit of streetnomics. Basic items right now becomes luxury.
Definitely.
People are trying to just feed, not even build ambition. So is there substance to their concern?
The issue of economic woes is something that's of great concern to all citizens. We are all affected. We are not saying the fact that the Tinubu administration will take the whole full blame. Yes, they have a share of the blame in terms of the approach in dealing with the state of affairs. But I will not hold it down on them alone, because their own son caused us more of these woes, which is President Muhammadu Buhari.
You said you would not hold it down on the current administration alone. Fully.
Yes, I've always just said it's a shared blame.
Okay, so in what percentage now?
Yeah, well, I would say to 70-30.
We'll take 70.
Buhari takes 70 because
and then Tinubu takes 30.
Yes,
but things were not this expensive during Buhari's time. At least the price of fuel was still, and the exchange rate.
Wait, we are quick to forget our sufferings. And this is an episode whereby for every chapter of our life as country, as citizens, we always believe our current woes cannot be compared to our coming woes. And that's more or less that we do comparison of pains. The fact that the last administration, at the tail end of the administration, even throughout the whole of the 8 years, the economic situation of this country was in a comatose. It took all of us on the street, it took all of us to agitate on the fact that even the change of currency, do you know how much that cost us? We have not even recovered from that. Do you know what the effect of the current state of removal of the first subsidy that we are having today? Yes, the removal of first subsidy is there, but the governors have gained more. The amount of money in terms of compared to the previous administration, the amount of money governors are getting now is 10 times more. But why?
But what is, I'll just also ask you a simple question.
Yes.
Compared to what used to be in just the closest past, looking at the standard of living of the average Nigerian, are they benefiting?
Well, let me say something. I've equally just put it right here now that the pains is everywhere. Everybody is feeling the itch of the pain. And I've just raised it times that what the present administration needs to do is not to rush at the removal of the first subsidy the way it went about it. There should have been a well-calculated attempt in reviewing the past administration, in auditing. Even if you are taking over a government, you must audit that government to know what you are taking over.
The current administration doing its campaign said it will continue on the achievements of the past administration.
Those are political statements. We cannot, because political statements are different from real governance.
It didn't say it once, it didn't say it twice, it repeated it.
I'm not the spokesperson of the president. I'm speaking in my capacity to review issues. How far and how well have we all gone as a country? If the North are coming out with blame, and we, the South, are also shifting blame to them, that shows that we are not yet game together as citizens. We have something is really dividing us. Is it power? If it is quest for power, how much of that power be meaningful to the North when they had over 35 years of them being in power, cumulatively of military and civil? So if they have gotten all the enormity of those powers, to how much have they transmitted those powers to development of their region? Yes, we can begin to query. They have more senators, they have more reps. The inequality of governance in the country was as a result of the fact that we are not telling ourselves the truth. The day we start reasoning together that the constitution that battered us together now is not even torturing us enough to give us good governance. But in as much as we are working on it, I see a kind of a situation of a far brigade approach in managing this country. The Senate is more like weaponized. Look at the recent declaration of the 19 northern governors and their emirs, inclusive of the Chief of Defense Staff. They declared that any attempt to consider the review of the tax reform bill, they are going to shut it down. That is not good governance. It's more or less like holding you are grandstanding the government. Things ought not to be that way. If we have to flow on the strength of our comparative advantage, the South has more. If we have to go by the statement of Ango Abdullahi, that this country is already ripe for shutting down. After the Treaty of 1914, we have always owed it. Is it now that the treaty must be shut down? Or can't we just reopen for a national conversation? Must it always be that if the North sneeze, all of us must begin to catch cold?
But we're also seeing a situation, because I mean, the picture you are painting is a picture where, of course, to a very large extent, yes, from antecedents and what we've seen, the North having the mindset that power belongs to them. But, I mean, looking at this current administration too, you'd also want to look at the appointments. And yes, to a large extent, key roles are tilted to a certain region. Which is the Southwest. Which is the Southwest. Yes. So, wouldn't you also say that the same thing too almost applies here? No. Let us make some comparison here. We can't always presume that all situations must work in line. There are some certain issues that equally, for me to equally look at, why is the president making this happen? But in an overall, compared to the past, the North, when they had when Buhari was there, even we are talking about Northernization. Yeah, it's not that we cannot rate the fact that, everything is Yorubas. No. There are certain key positions in the recent appointment that North have equally gained. The South are there, the Southeast are there. Is it because of those ones that are more pronounced? That is when you have to pick blames? No. I'm honestly trying to remember some of the key positions outside that of the Southwest taking it. As far as the government is concerned, there is a balance of power when it comes to appointments. It is just about the issue of
maybe because of the people that are coming from the north are not the renowned, pronounced politicians. Look at all the ministers that came from all the region. Look at all the, if you look at much of the federal parastatals today, 70% of parastatals of government are in the hands of the North. Go and fact check. 70% of various structure of infrastructure, the parastatals of government from various boards and all the various structures of government, from the police to trust fund and every other appointment, you see the northern man there. But it is not about the north. Are we really gaining from those that are even from the southwest and those that are even from the north? Is it, if it will have to be of the ethnicity, has ethnicity really benefited us as a region? When we are talking about power in our region, does it really mean that the southwest equally have gained? That's the question for all of us to answer. We have queried that in Yoruba land. We just hosted maybe the Yoruba Summit recently, and we reviewed that we have not equally gained as much from the southwest. Even if we said, okay, the president's campaign on the premise of, oh, Yoruba local, and is also prepared to govern. But in terms of deliverables, we are saying, okay, we need more of the institutions, we need more of the road network that will also go into our street. Yes, in as much as Maradi rail line was built with the tax, why now will the northern people say, okay, that they are not seeing anything from government? They've gained more. When they were gaining, who is complaining? So all we need to do is about national dialogue. Let us open our conversation. Let's have a no-holds-barred conversation. Enough of deceit. Enough of, oh, let's just push this. The president never wanted Tinubu to win an election. He hated a man from the south, he wanted a man from the north.
Which president is that?
Buhari never supported Tinubu. Go and check that as well. You will also how the primaries went.
You said he wanted a northerner.
Yes, he played the APC down because almost you cannot go into a presidential election and the same period you are changing currency, you are downplaying the party.
I'm trying to remember.
It was more of a disservice to the APC. So we all are aware. So it is not now. We saw this, and that's why we have raised the conversation that in as much as we are all premise as citizens on this country, no person, no region is more Nigerian than the other. If we keep to blame how much of the North have gained, the North has gained more. It will be unequal for us to now begin to put pen on paper and begin to mark how much has the Northern people gained. So at the expense of what? If you go and look at the entire oil well in the Niger Delta today, how many is the people of Niger Delta, how many oil well do they own? The Northerners own more oil well than any other part of this country. Where are those benefits going to? If we begin to hoard it ourselves today, you find out that we have not even seen anything yet as far as the country is concerned. Even the internal sabotage against this government is what we are seeing today. It's manifesting. The protestations. Why now that there must be a protest of end bad governance, which was orchestrated by the northern youths? They orchestrated it and they planned it, which was meant to muzzle up, and there was a demand.
There was a demand, it came from social media and then morphed.
No. Go and look at it. Nothing ever happened without a figment of intent and intentions. In as much as we seen that, yes, the North are always doing everything to muzzle up power, to endorse themselves. If we go to the poll next year, let everybody now begin to vote for their region. Then meaning we are regionalizing our democracy.
I mean, this issue of...
And the earlier we come to terms to ourselves that, yes, when are we going to continue to have a taste of love for one another if we don't bring up these ethnicity issues? The last election was between the Igbo, Yoruba, the Hausa Fulani. It was not between Nigerians versus Nigerians. It was not an election that really
is where my next line of conversation will go to. The fact that the country, to a large extent, I mean, to a reflection of just like the last election, you said, the 2023 presidential elections, where there was strong evidence of deep tribal divide. And that really permeated the political space. We'll look at that, but I understand that we need to go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely pick up from there. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This, of course, is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And, of course, we are discussing the political dynamics in Nigeria, particularly ahead of the 2027 elections. There are already conversations, deep-rooted conversations underway, even though some Nigerians will say it's pretty too early. I still have my guest with me. Mr. Oladotun Hassan is the president of the Yoruba Council Worldwide. Thank you for staying with me, sir. He joins me live in the studio. Well, let me pick up from one thing you said. You talked about how, in a way, tribally, well, I use the word divided right now, the nation is. I mean, 2023 elections that we saw was largely, you know, the Igbos, the Yorubas, and then the Hausas. And at some point, you know, there was even the major, the catchphrase then, Emiloko and, you know, the Yoruba Ronus and then the Arewas. And of course, we saw all of that happen. But for many pundits of politics, they feel that this trajectory, Nigerians, truly, many Nigerians have not recovered from that, and that we are gradually heading towards the Rubicon. So my question to you is this: how do we come out of it as a nation?
Well, it's about deep-rooted conversations, and the earlier we kickstart this conversation, the best for all of us, so that we don't nosedive to a situation of war or civil strife, that it will now take us being refugees in another land before we now begin to reason deeply that we've all made mistakes. Because the way we are all going, we are looking for whole. For the fact that the beautiful ones are not yet born. We need to really observe ourselves. If we begin to put out, like I was saying earlier, if we begin to equate how much the North has gained as far as the country is concerned, from independence to date, go look at the entire recruitment, the placement of recruitment in the police, in the army, even in NNPC, CBN and all that. You see the North in every strata. Where was all this recruitment done? Is it that these people just have a means of putting their people there? We can't begin to look at all those. If you look at if we itch our skin deeply, we'll get to our bones marrow. That means the pain will be more deeper. So there is a means for the North to really tread cautiously. The more that they are throwing bombardment and trying to make the government look as if it's bad in the bad light, the government, to me, let me not be too, I'm not patting the government in the bad. That's why I say there is shared blame. For the fact that the present administration met the Waterloo of the immediate past administration, they confessed, the NSA confessed that they met a government without any landmarks on ground. But political statement, Tinubu must take the sheer blame of trying to take the whole house together, thinking he can be able to manage everyone, trying to part everything and patch to ensure. But the truth must be told. Now it's more of horse trading in the villa. It's more of who is going to take the next. It's just 2 years. We've seen about 3 protestations, national protestations, majority of it which was well weaponized and sponsored. You can imagine over 87
you said
billion.
Majority of the protest was weaponized and sponsored. But if you look at
over 87 billion was declared by the NSA was what was the end bad governance protest was used to for the sponsorship of end bad governance protest.
I mean, when you talk of sponsorship of protests, because this issue too has brought up reactions.
Yeah.
The reason, the motive for the end bad governance protest.
Let me tell you. There's poverty in the land.
Okay,
poverty
because I was going there.
Yes, poverty has been there when Obasanjo was. Poverty has been there.
But has it been this bad?
Poverty is now staring us in the face. I'm coming. What is happening now is a ripple effect of every of what we have neglected as citizens. We like deceiving ourselves. It is high time, Mr. President, engage all of us for conversation. It's high time we have to look at the agri sector. Yes, there have been a lot of policy formulation. We are in an emergency situation. I have to talk to Mr. President. He's my president. He's the president of all Nigeria, not a Yoruba
Can I ask you a straightforward question with an answer? And I need a straight answer from
Yes.
you. Does this administration, through its policies, look like it knows what it's doing?
Yeah, the administration knows what it's doing.
Really?
Definitely.
Are there results?
They are figment of results. You cannot get the whole result at once. Even if you are going through pains, at least a child labor pain will not heal in one day. That's the period we are.
But the pain keeps getting stronger.
No, I'm coming. The pains keep getting stronger, but there are policies that are never there before. When last have you seen a president talking about the local government autonomy, wanting the money to come directly to the local government and trying to show off the governors who believe that they can
But for some individuals, they feel that those are distractions from the core issue. The core issue of standard of living,
no, you can't
cost of living.
You as a president, you cannot run a palatial presidential system from a one-size-fits-all. You must work with the structure of government, the state, federal, and local government. If there is no state, there is no federal, then Mr. President should be in every state. But because of the policy of the government, the government came up with, let us see how we can increase your state allocation. For what benefit? For the people. Why didn't the people begin to hold the governors? It took Mr. President to go to Supreme Court to assert that alone. Over 22 northern governors deny that they are not going to support it. Why? Is it for the people? That is sabotage. That is ethnic sabotage in one way or the other, in order to make it easier for the other man to come in. Is it the way we have to run a country when the man also get there, the other region too will sabotage? Is that the way to better our lot? Even the British that gave us independence, now they will be crying that what kind of situation are we all running? We are not running a nationalistic interest. We are always running the cartridge. That was what led Awolowo to where he was. That was what led Abiola to where he was. Because everything, as far as the country was concerned then, was this same ethnic bloodline. And it has led us to a lot of bloodletting. What led to the Biafra wanting to go out there was because of this ethnic issue. So we need to discuss it. The way we are trying to take it now, that we must take everything to the ballot. If you risk the heat of the argument that we are having now, if you risk it to the ballot, my brother, the post-election violence in 2027 might not be
you are saying the solution to this ethnic issue is not through the ballot.
We need to really have this conversation. These chunks of conversation we are all having now. It's more better if we all come to the open. Let us.
But don't you also feel that maybe some sort of because I know that the issue of zoning, rotation, and all of that has come up in the past, and don't you also feel that to a large extent, if maybe it can be policy issues, there is proper representation. A typical example is this: there's a particular region in this country that is saying, you know what, since the birthing of this country, they've not really had a chance at the seat of power.
They do. The Southeast. They do.
They do?
Yes.
Please, can you enlighten me?
The Azikiwe of this world, where did they come from?
And that's how many years ago, sir?
You have just answered me.
No.
The
truth is this.
Let me say something.
When you talk, because you're talking of equal representation.
Let me answer that.
Okay.
And I've raised it as a constitutional lawyer, that we don't have a people's constitution. That's a big problem to all of us to care about, even lawyers. And I'm putting it as a challenge to the NBA president, to take it up as one of his fundamental, that we need to have a people's constitution, enough of military decree 21 of Abdul Salami, to be running a whole country at 30 million citizens with one constitution that can just be overtaken by a recruit. We must have a conversation whereby the regionalism of our structure must be well governed in terms of governance. The rotational of our presidency must be properly institutionalized. Because if not, if the Southwest man leaves now, the North comes in with all this, their whole issue, the Southeastern man will still be left behind. We and the Southeast will still go and hustle up for power. If the North takes over, it is now a recurrent decimal. But if we have to institutionalize it, that 7-year one term, 4 years of 2 term, if it is your zone, let the constitution specify it from southwest to North Central, from North Central to Southeast, from Southeast to Northwest to Northeast, everybody will know that it will definitely get to your turn. Because if you don't do that, a time will come. The argument in which I brought the entire Igbos to a standstill in terms of governance. Let me tell you, the Igbo are more like a spectator because of the kind of hate politics. They believe that if you are not giving us, we follow our mouth, we destroy. Yes, it's hate politics. Hate politics, hate politics, and yeah, in terms of, they believe that for the fact that they were church changed, it was witnessed in the last presidential election. The kind of movement of obedient movement and the way it was more fist cup. It was not a natural flow of love. And
I'm trying to understand what you mean by hate politics.
No,
because
the hate politics means that they don't want to even see a Yoruba man. They don't want to just see the Northern man. Maybe you don't understand. The wars of the past are still there. The records of the Biafran wars are still there. Chinua Achebe has expressed it rightly in his book. So if we have to begin to open all these Pandora, this kind of worms, it will not unite us. So the earlier we have a constitution, and I'm putting it to the National Assembly, not a review of the constitution. Let them give us a new people's constitution that will give the Igbo a time for them to run for presidency, so that the North will not play the game of coming to finish the entire the unfinished business of being a powerful life.
All right, thank you.
And we don't hate them, and let it be clear, this is not a matter of hatred. It's a matter of conversation.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I understand that we need to go. Oladotun Hassan, President of the Yoruba Council Worldwide. Thank you so much for your time on the program. I hope we'll have you again to have this conversation. But thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much.